He starts to come, and then he pulls out.
What's going on, Cowboys gang? I'm Crispy, and thank you for tuning in to Victory Formation Media, BFM for short, but here for long. You know, it feels like every offseason now, Jerry Jones leaves his cojones down in Cabo on his mega yacht, where he doesn't give a damn about football. But it's honestly it's easy to forget the maverick that was once the young Jerry Jones. Buying the team back in 1989, he was definitely aggressive and fearless right off the bat, firing legendary Cowboys coach Tom Landry, ushering in Jimmy Johnson, a decision that definitely transformed the team. I mean, right away he got to making moves. But what really changed our fortunes back in the 90s, setting up our dynasty, was that Herschel Walker trade that we've all, Cowboys fans, have all heard about by now in 89. This blockbuster deal with the Vikings honestly brought a treasure trove of draft picks that we were actually able to hit on. For example, we were able to hit on Emmitt Smith in the following year in 89, in 90, where we already had Troy Aikman. Darren Woodson in 92, so 2 years later, we were able to get him in the second round. One of the greatest safeties in franchise history, should be a Hall of Famer, but we don't make the decisions around here. They hate us in Canton. Russell Maryland was in 91. He was a dominant defensive tackle. For those who don't know, he was an anchor in the defensive line unit that we haven't really seen since. Kevin Smith was in the first round in 92. Was a key piece in the secondary. Around this time, Jerry Jones was not afraid to spend money. He definitely was opening that pocketbook. Oh, he signed Deion Sanders in 95, giving the Cowboys a shutdown corner and a game-changing playmaker. I mean, come on, it was prime time. Who helped secure that third Super Bowl victory in that 4-year run. He also took big swings in free agency and trades, bringing in people like Terrell Owens, Leonard Davis, and Roy Williams. That one didn't really quite pan out. Jerry was definitely a gambler. He was wheeling and dealing. While not every move hit, he was definitely fearless in his approach in building championship teams. But when did Jerry lose his edge? When did he lose his nerve? A shift happened, I'd say, sometime around the early 2010s. In 2012, Jerry made a big money play for Brandon Carr, which was like a 50 million 6-year, 5-year deal. That same year, we also traded up to the draft to get Morris Claiborne at number 6 overall. That plan was to rebuild the secondary, and both moves backfired big time. Morris Claiborne never lived up to the hype. Everything looked good on paper, but Claiborne was soft as paper. Brandon Carr was solid, but wasn't able to live up to this huge contract. I mean, when we think of Brandon Carr, you think of Odell Beckham just fucking Beckham his ass, I guess you could. When he absolutely made that incredible play, to his credit, but no one talks about that the Cowboys won that game. So, he was definitely a solid corner, but like I said, never lived up to that contract. And ever since, I feel like that really left a bad taste in Jerry Jones' mouth to either make those gambles because he felt that maybe put us back he set us back a couple years, which does make sense. I mean, hindsight is 2020. Morris Claiborne could not stay on the field. He was a bust almost, I'd say, right off the bat. I feel like the first training camp, he already started showing his fragileness. Brandon Carr, he was just Brandon Carr. I mean, after that, we really just stopped swinging big in free agency, and it really took a whole decade for the Cowboys to really make any other major free agent spends or any major additions, choosing to bargain basement shop instead, trying to sign has-beens, who was and what about nows, because a lot of them would not make other practice teams. I know we signed like McCoy that never saw the field. We tried to sign him, never saw the field. people who beat we beat people who became MMA fighters because they had a bad reputation in the league. I'm not gonna get into that. Shitty dude. So instead of trying to get the cream of the crop in free agency, we wait for like the third day when people are about to hit the freaking FedEx online application because they're not going to be in the league anymore. But we're the ones that come in and be like, no, don't take a shift at FedEx. Become a Dallas Cowboy, where we're going to be an aging line, where we're going to continuously promise championships year after year, build a top heavy team that puts all the pressure on their quarterback and doesn't give him any pieces around him to even try to be successful. Even if you don't like Dak Prescott, at least invest in your defense and have a solid defensive line. But no, they choose to not do that neither.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because
this prioritization of cheap veterans and cheap cap friendly deals, often watching other contenders make the aggressive moves like the Eagles that put themselves over the top, getting Saquon, all the other defense, the additions that they've made on their defense, their good drafting that they've honestly done. Jalen Carter has been a really good defensive tackle that's been nasty for their front. I mean, if the defensive front could have been awarded the Super Bowl MVP, they should have gotten that shit. As a Cowboys fan, I'm not delusional. I know that they built a solid unit. I mean, not can you guys win the Super Bowl, have your parade, hoorah, we're trying to figure out how the hell we're going to get this team to where it needs to be. Well, this decrepit old GM refuses to make any changes. The one exception that I could point to that he's really kind of shown that, hey, Jerry, you can make good moves was that Amari Cooper deal back in 2018, pre-COVID, the whole different world ago. The Cowboys were struggling on the offense that year. We traded for Amari because the Raiders were a dumpster fire. They were fire selling everybody. So after signing Cooper with the $100 million deal, the front office soured on him for some undisclosed reasons. Some say it was Mike McCarthy. Personal vendettas, definitely, mainly. Stephen Jones seems like viewing Cooper as an overpaid and unreliable receiver. His words led them to trade them to the Browns for a fifth round pick, where we ultimately got hosed on that. Why? A fifth? He went for a fourth like this year, and that was 3 years later. The Browns got a true number one for pennies, while us were left scrambling trying to get a receiver. And what did they do next? They overpaid for a lesser Michael Gallup, who was injured that year, who are still paying for and is out of the league. I don't know what he's doing right now, but it ain't playing football. I can tell you that. And it seems that every time Jerry gets into these contract situations, every time it's a contract time or somebody's contract comes up, it gets messy. The Cowboys' hesitation to commit to big moves hasn't stopped them from making terrible contract decisions. Despite what you want to say, these contracts are atrocious. From Ezekiel Elliott's $90 million extension back in 2019, paying a running back top dollar, only to cut him 4 years later, bring him back. He was kind of washed. I love you, Zeke. I should autograph back to homie, but your wheels wasn't wheeling no more. Jalen Smith, 64 extension the same year, if you remember that. Overpaid for an inconsistent linebacker with a dead leg, and then cut him mid-season in 2021. Dak Prescott's contract debacle, waited too damn long, overpaid at $40 million per year, and will have to do it, and did it again, overpaid it again. We didn't learn the first time. You didn't learn. That's the problem, Jerry. You don't learn. You never learn. You keep doing the same thing. What Einstein say, insanity, doing the same shit over and over again. His words, not mine. And then from CeeDee's holdout He sat out camp, forcing us to scramble. Did we get a quarterback or do we get a receiver? Don't we get a receiver? What do we do with CD? Should we draft one? No, no. And then the plans fell out. And then what do? You sign him to $136 million deal last minute. And then now the Micah Parsons drama is brewing. He's calling to action here, Jerry. He wants to say he doesn't want to be the highest paid player. He's willing to be a team friendly deal. What more do you need, old man? In a cycle with Jerry, he hesitates, overpays, and then we regret it as a fan base as to why we made this decision to be Cowboys fans to begin with. Instead of taking control of the situation, taking advantage of the situations that come up yearly, I can point to 5 situations out a year where a team you can poach good players for very minimal draft capital and still play that game where you were a good drafting team, but we also play the market. Okay, we just don't sit idly by. We play the market, see what we can get, and then make efficient deals that help us get to Super Bowls like other teams continuously do. Look for the teams that are dumpster firing, selling all their players, trying to tank for Tua or tank for whoever Arch Manning is going to come up next. That's one thing that I feel the Cowboys refuse to do. They don't take advantage of the opportunities that often are available that other teams take great advantage of. The Niners, the Eagles, the Commanders, who damn near should be the Washington Cowboys because they damn near signed all of our free agents and continuously to try and poach and continuously poach our old free agents that are still viable, and they're able to transition to that Dan Quinn defense that they already knew. So it was a smooth transition for them. Situations like that feels like the Cowboys do not take any advantage of. They're never ahead of the 8 ball. They're always playing catch up, always doing things last, waiting last minute. They're serial procrastinators. It honestly feels like they just do not care about football because they care about finance. They care about that money, honey. Okay?
Here we
It's
go.
clear as day that they care about their pockets, but when it comes to cap, we're always against the cap, always against the cap. But truly, it is self inflicted. They always, again, wait to pay last minute for all of their free agents. We could have gotten CD done last year or the year before he got his year deal. We could have done Dak Prescott's deal twice early where we didn't have to pay top of market, where we didn't have to continuously hear, oh, Dak is the highest paid quarterback. He isn't good enough. That's because Jerry Jones refuses to make those smart decisions that ultimately propel us forward, but instead wants to sit on his hands, wants to wait last minute for whatever reason, and then we always end up paying top of market because he just decides to wait and wait and wait. That is the new formula nowadays. You draft well, you get good free agents to fill in your gaps. Draft well, get free agents to fill in your gaps. Good free agents to fill in your gaps. Mid-season, look who's going to tank. Look who's having a terrible season. Look at their roster. Who can we get from their roster? I'm just a person from New Jersey. You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Figure it out. And just in case, I do know that they tried in recent years with Trey Lance and Jonathan Mingo, where they traded for fourth-round picks respectively. But let's be honest, were those good trades? I felt like Trey Lance was honestly the one to try to find a replacement for Dak Prescott as that cheap alternative. Let's see if we can coach him up and get him to eventually replace Dak. But we all know that definitely did not work out. Jonathan Mingo, I mean, was he playing bingo because he only got like 46 yards this year as a Cowboy in 9 games? 9 games, 46 yards. 9 games, 46 yards. Exactly. Exactly. So yes, you you can say they've tried, but this felt like more of the low risk, high low reward type situations instead of those gambling, those all really put all your chips in to go get a guy that you know is a bona fide stud and not a product that you may need to coach up. And sure, that works in some situations, change the scenery, have definitely revitalized a lot of players' careers. Sam Darnold being a prime example in this year alone, but not around here, partner. That doesn't happen around here. It's either we draft well, we get lucky in the fifth round somewhere, we get a free agent. We're lucky if Dak's able to revitalize his career like he did with Randall Cobb, but I'm aware that we've made some moves recently, but again, these moves have not been enough or in the same vein as the young Jerry. We are now dealing with decrepit Jerry. So the verdict: has Jerry lost his nerve? Abso-fucking-lutely. The Cowboys went from being the NFL risk takers to hesitant bystanders. In the 90s and the early 2000s, Jerry wasn't afraid to make the bold moves, the trades, the signings, the draft gambles that built championships, but never since Brandon Carr and Morris Claiborne's misses, and every debacle ever since. He refuses to spend money in free agency, hesitates in contract talks, and botches trades. Cowboys fans, we are left frustrated, and I feel you. The proof is there that bold moves work. Amari Cooper proved it, but we fumbled that away, and instead of leaning into it, Jerry Jones and Stephen Catboy Jones let their personal feelings get in the way and constantly put themselves in bad positions. If the Cowboys want to take the next step, we need Jerry to dust off the creps, old man. Go back to that time for the one who isn't afraid to take risk and push all the chips and really go all in. Because right now, Jerry Jones has lost his nerve.
I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.